Monday, December 11th, 5 a.m. here in Washington, where we have new CNN poll numbers this morning in two critical battleground states. The news is not great for President Biden and his campaign. The numbers show Donald Trump leading in both Georgia and Michigan. In Georgia, a state Biden carried by a very narrow margin in 2020, registered voters say they prefer Trump over Biden by 5%. In Michigan, which Trump won in 2016 but Biden carried in 2020, our poll now showing Trump 10 points up. Note that a full 10% of those polled in each state say that they wouldn't support either candidate. Trump's margin over Biden is significantly boosted in both states by people who say they did not vote in 2020. These less engaged voters favored Trump by 26 points in Georgia and 40 points in Michigan. Here to help break it all down, what it all means, is CNN's Isaac Dever. Isaac, good morning. Thank you so much for being with us. These are some rough numbers for the president, especially in Michigan. What do you see here?
Look, the fundamental proposition of Biden in 2020 was that he'd be able to win back Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, which Trump won in 2016. That he's 10 points back in Michigan is obviously not where people would want to see Joe Biden, who want to see him elected, and is not where the Biden campaign wants to see things. The Biden campaign contends about polls like these that they have not yet started to really campaign, and people haven't really focused on the election and thinking about Trump back in the White House, but 10 points is obviously a significant margin.
Some new poll numbers to talk about. They show former President Trump leading President Biden in 7 key swing states, and young voters are leaving President Biden behind over his handling of student loan forgiveness, despite him canceling $132 billion so far. Oh, boy.
Can't seem to bribe him with that money. Cheryl Casoni from our assistant Eric Fox Business here with the details. And Cheryl, this is important because I know the polls are early and it's a year out, but this isn't 1 or 2 states which would give him the win. This is 7 states which would give him the blowout.
Yeah, this is Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Nevada. And what's interesting is that it's not just this 42% of these Gen Z individuals, these kids, I don't want to say kids, 18 to 26, they say that he hasn't done enough on the economy, but also they're not going to give him credit for actually getting rid of student loan debt. But remember, he's already canceled $132 billion in student loan debt. A lot of them don't know that. The message is the problem, I guess, from the White House. The other issue, and this is coming from this Bloomberg Morning Consult poll, is that, basically he's also losing support among black voters. These are key demographics for President Biden that he's going to need next year. They're not there for him. We should also say, and this is the Gen Z, they're 18 to 26, they were born 1997 and later. Maybe they're just not tuned in enough, or maybe the White House needs to work on getting across the fact that he has canceled a lot of the debt.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And this is a big deal because President Biden can chalk up his victory in a lot of these swing states to young voters who weren't supposed to turn out for him in 2020, and they did. So if you're the Biden campaign right now, Houston, we have a problem.
1 year from today, America will be going to the polls to choose a president. And there are alarm bells going off inside the White House this morning. There are 3 big polls out about the race for the White House, and none of it is good for Joe Biden. The race for president is decided state by state, not nationally. So this morning, we want to focus on a series of battleground state polls from the New York Times. In Nevada, Trump leads by 10, leads by 6 in Georgia, 5 in Arizona, 5 in Michigan, and 4 in Pennsylvania. Biden has just a narrow 2-point lead in Wisconsin. Now, Biden won all 6 of those states in 2020 and likely needs to win at least 4 of them to be reelected. And if you dig a little deeper into the poll, things look even bleaker. Voters in these 6 states say Biden's policies have hurt them personally. And those numbers are flipped when you ask about Trump. More say Trump's policies have helped them personally. And then there are huge cracks in the coalition that won Biden the White House in 2020. Yes, he's leading among those demographics, but not by nearly as much as he needs to be. He's ahead of Trump among young voters in these battleground states by 1 point. Trump wins 22% of black voters, which would be a historically huge measure for a Republican. And the margins are small for Biden among Hispanics and suburban voters.
The New York Times, and they're right about it, says, in a remarkable sign of a gradual racial realignment between the two parties, the more diverse the swing state, the farther Mr. Biden was behind. And he led only in the whitest of 6.
Is all of this and even more polling. I want to show this, guys, because it's pretty stunning to look at. This is from a New York Times Siena College poll, which shows that Trump leads Biden in 5 out of 6 critical swing states. And of course, you have this week where Mr. Trump's going to be counter-programming the debate. Sarah, he's going to be holding a rally here. And guess what? On Monday, he's going to be in court. His fraud trial, I spoke to one of his allies today who says they plan to capitalize on those optics. They are feeling defiant.
The number of Americans who think that things are going badly in the country today has hit its high for the year. So you might expect any incumbent to be down as Biden is. But then look at these positive views of what people think will happen for them financially if Donald Trump wins. Way more voters think they'd be better off. And Biden, for his part, hasn't fully convinced as many Democrats that he'd help them as the middle class still reels from inflation.
George, voters are just plain frustrated across the board. 76% of adults in this poll say the country is headed in the wrong direction. Only 23%, less than a quarter of the country, say that we're headed on the right track. And the issues that are animating voters' frustration, it's almost unspeakably vast and broad. Economy, 74% of Americans say it's very important to them personally. 69% say the same about inflation. Those are issues in our poll that tend to favor Republicans. Voters say they trust Republicans more than Democrats on those issues.